Hey guys, so today I wanted to take a look at something and show you guys how to check your batteries on your old school games. This goes for your reproductions, homebrews, anything that comes with a battery for saving. You don't want to start playing a game, save it, and then turn it back on. Your save's missing. So today I wanted to show you how to take a look at that to make sure you're not wasting money on changing batteries that don't need to be changed, and you're not wasting time playing a game that you can't save. So let's go ahead and get this party started. Okay, so where we're going to begin, you're going to need a few things. So first, you're going to need your multimeter. Link will be in the description. Very cheap product to get. Comes in handy for a lot of things. You're also going to need some tools, some security bits. Like for example, the original NES games, they use this kind of security bit. A lot of the homebrew Chinese hacks and stuff like that use just normal Phillips head, smaller Phillips head. And then some of these Pokemon and Game Boy reproductions also use this like tri-wing. I don't know how to describe it, if you can see the number on there, but I'll have a link in the description. It's a little different than a normal Phillips head. So those will be things you might need to use. I've already removed the screws from each of these games. So let's go ahead and take a look at Pokemon Red first and see what that battery looks like. So these batteries are CR2032 batteries. They're the most common batteries used in old school video games. So with this battery can slide out fairly easily. So what we're going to want to do is push it out. There's a couple ways to do this, but we're going to take the battery out to test first. And if you use a little screwdriver or something to push it through, just make sure you're being careful and you're not scratching any of the traces on the PCB. So now, make sure you got your multimeter on. She's set to DC 20 if you have the same one that I have. And then you're going to take your positive and your negative probes here. And then looking at the battery, normally on these kind of batteries, the positive will be marked and it's on the top. It's the smooth side. The negative's on the bottom. But the positive also goes around the edge. So what you want to do is put positive side down. Then go ahead and put your negative probe on the top, which is essentially the bottom. And then put your positive on the side. And as you see, this registers at 3.29, 3.3 around there. These are 3-volt batteries, so this is good. This is a good battery. Very good battery. Once you have one of these batteries hovering around, I want to say 2.8, 2.7, you might still be able to save your games, but it's just a matter of time that they're not going to save anymore. So whenever it dips, I want to say below 2.8, you're done. Get rid of it. The other thing you can do with these boards is there's a little dot, a little trace there that's exposed right in the middle of the battery on the bottom of the board. That's going to be the positive. So you can also, without removing this, you can put your positive on that part and then your negative on the battery underneath if it's exposed, and you should get the same reading. So that helps to not have to remove it. But the only issue with that, sometimes you can't get a good connection, but that is a good battery. That one was a good battery, so we're good with that. The best way to do it is always to take the battery out and check. But as you'll see, some of the games, the battery is either kind of glued in or soldered in to the pins, and you'll have to figure it out from there. And it's a little odd, like original NES games like this, Dragon Warrior. So, you don't want to just remove the battery and replace it. We want to check and make sure, because this guy, you're going to have to desolder the pins if you want to do this correctly. And as you see, the leads are on the bottom. So what you can do is just simply take your probes and touch them. Typically, your positive should be on the left, negative on the right. If you do it backwards, it'll just give you a negative reading. You'll just flip it. But as we see, this one's at 3.08. This is still an okay battery. Yeah, they're registered at 3 volts, but they should still hover above 3 volts. Now, The only other way, like I said earlier, you can do this, like if you weren't aware of the leads on the bottom, which you should be, you can still kind of wedge the negative underneath the battery and the positive on top, but you risk touching something else and not getting a clear reading if you're not careful. So it's always better to try to hit those leads that are underneath the board. But as we saw, that is a good battery. It's just kind of it's starting to dip low. It's still at 3 volts. It's still a good battery. And like I'm pointing out here with the original games, even the homebrews and stuff, make sure when you're putting the case back together, you don't have the screws still in the case, because you risk messing up the screw posts. So always make sure when you're clamping these back together, you put the screws in after the fact, because sometimes people will put them in and then kind of place it on top. You could bend the post, so you don't want to do that. So here we got Super Mario Brothers 3 Mix. It's kind of a weird shell. It has like clamps on the side, so this one's a little difficult to open. But this is the one that really inspired me to check the batteries, which I've done in the past, but this guy right here can be removed. So we'll go ahead and pull him out. So like I said, you know, you'll order some of these games and they come direct from China, and you don't know how long they've been sitting around, or if they're just throwing in any old dirty battery that was lying around. This battery is honestly not looking new, in my opinion. Once I actually opened this and looked at it, it's really scratched up, and even the board was kind of dirty. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. Flip her upside down. Positive on the side. Negative, we're going to touch the essentially the bottom of the battery. The positive top of the battery is typically always smooth, and then the negative's got kind of a roughness to it, so you'll kind of know that. But typically the positive, it's marked positive, and then negative will be blank. So as we see here, this battery is beyond gone. There's no saving this battery. If it was still at 3 volts or 2.8 volts, she probably should still be good. A lot of people out there, they'll tell you, you know, typically the batteries can still be good down to 2 volts. It's too risky, in my opinion. Way too risky to keep your battery at 2 volts if it's sitting at that. 3 volts is what you want it to be at optimally. To have a brand new nice battery, it needs to be above 3 volts. So I hope this was helpful, guys. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. I'll catch you guys next time. Boom!